Okay, so that's another interesting question. So now you're obviously more established now, right? You've been doing this 6-7 years, right? Do you prefer boarding trains still, or do you prefer one-on-ones now?
I enjoy both to the same degree, I would say. Like there's some private sessions that I really, really enjoy and are very, very rewarding. There's some that are just a pain in my ass and I dread going to them and stuff, right? Same with boarding trains. I think that some boarding trains I really enjoy the process.
Yeah.
Other ones it's just like, oh, let's just get this 3 weeks over with kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
So I like both. I like both equally as much. I would say for the most part, yeah, I like both equally as much, to be honest. Yeah. I think private training, in my opinion, because I have to be, it requires so much more skill, I think, to effectively train a dog in a private training session,
100%.
Especially if you're doing like behavior modification or whatever, right? And maybe not like simple, like off leash, like recall or something that's easy. But if you're trying to do like a behavior modification program through private sessions and you're successful, I think that really speaks to you as a trainer. And like, even myself now, like I do a lot of my private training sessions now where I don't even handle the dog. I don't take the leash, kind of like Larry Crone style, and I used to give shit, talk shit about Larry Crone kind of for saying stuff like that. Like, oh, you should be able to train these dogs without having to take the leash and stuff. And I would say like, no, that's just ridiculous. Get the leash and get it under control. But now I see how you can effectively do that. Right. And it's just fun to play around with that stuff. And with private training, there's just more on the line, I guess, right? Because like you said, the audience is there watching. At first, if I was a new trainer and wasn't confident in what I was doing, that would concern me. But now that I'm confident in what I'm doing, that's awesome. I'm like, yeah, like let's try, watch the progress, watch this unfold kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
And it's fun now. It's not stressful for me. I don't go in there wondering like, oh no, this isn't working, but we're going to do it again anyway, kind of thing, right? It's so for me now, and because I'm the owner of the business, the private training is more fun and more rewarding in that regards because, again, it just requires more skill, more effort.
Yeah. I think getting to like the thing that like has had me fairly excited in the last, 6 months, 7 months, something like that, has been really diving into the behavioral modification one-on-one side of things. It's something we've always done. Like we've never had firm rules of, if your dog is aggressive or this or that, it has to do a board and train. But I would say in the past, like years ago, like not necessarily recently, but like we would definitely sway people more towards like, oh, you got a really serious dog, like it should do a board and train, right? Mm-hmm. And I've almost ping-ponged like the opposite direction lately from the standpoint of, serious behavioral modification in one-on-one classes is so fucking beneficial to owners and for trainers. One, like you were saying, from a skill set standpoint, like you've got to, as a trainer, be able to understand how can I break this stuff down so simply for the owner to be successful and safe with stuff if you have like a really aggressive dog, for example, or something like that. And two, I'm getting the week by week progress updates, right? Like, I mean, it's just every time, like talk about experimenting, right? Like every time I give you something to try for this first week, I'm getting an immediate case study back of how did that thing impact your day to day, right? And I feel like that's really, as trainers move more towards doing more one-on-ones and out of board and trains and stuff like that, man, that's really where a lot of skill can be refined and defined is when you do you do one-on-one classes for those types of things. And you have to figure out a way to articulate your concepts clearly enough where people get it and can successfully implement it to be successful, right? I think that's so huge. And I just see so many trainers, at least in Cleveland, right? And I feel like I see it online also, that literally say, if your dog has serious anxiety or serious aggression or this or that, they have to do a board and train. And I just don't understand that. Like board and trains don't fix dogs. They don't, like it teaches the dog some skills and can help them be successful for a little bit, right? Yeah. But there's so much work when you have a behavioral modification case that you have to do post board and train with the owner to get them to be successful.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. You have to pair it with the private sessions, regardless if you want them to do the board. And that realistically, I suppose that is probably the single best way to do it is like a board and train followed by a bunch of private sessions. If an owner is going to do a behavior mod program, probably the best way to do it, right? But like you said, it's like the I shared a quote recently from Larry on my Facebook page, from Larry Cronin. I think it was, don't try to impress the owner with what you can do with their dog. Try to impress the dog with what you can do with their owner.
Yeah.
And I really love that quote, because that's just it, right? It's like,
cool.
It doesn't matter what you can do with the dog. It matters what the owner can do. And,
Yeah.
Even in a board and train setting, you can try to convince yourself that, hey, like here on the property or here in this place that we've been training for the last 3 weeks, the dog's doing great with me around. And you can try to fool yourself into, thinking that that's long-term progress. But I guarantee you, a month down the road, that owner's calling you with problems, right? If that's all you did was one follow-up session, or even a couple little follow-up sessions with a serious behavior mod program, I guarantee that's not going to last. The progress you made with that dog, unless that owner you can visibly see that same progress for an extended period with that owner, it's not going to work either. And again, that's the nice thing about private training. You're seeing the progress over a 6-week period with the owner, not a 6-week period in your controlled fish tank of a training environment or whatever, right? And that's really where you see the behaviors and stuff happen. And like I said, it goes back to that idea of the training and drive thing. It's like the dog is going to act a different way at home with the owners, and you need to make sure that your training incorporates that somehow, right? Whether that means you're doing in-home visits after a board and train, which I think is incredibly important, or you're doing, private sessions at your location and maybe at their location if you can, right? Those things are all very, very vital, I think,